Hey everybody, Matt from Pandoras European Motorsports. We recently acquired Griffith Cycles and brought KTM and Beta along with Jeff Griffith. Jeff?
That's me. I'm liking it over here so far. It's been a great place to work. So y'all have had Ducati, Triumph, and Husqvarna alongside BMW so far. But whenever you have Husqvarna that is kind of in there alone, whenever you have all these street bikes next to it, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So we're hoping that this transition makes it to where we have a little bit more energy to focus on the off-road segment of things. And so that makes it to where we know that we have a lot of parts interchangeability between KTM and Husqvarna, and that actually even transfers over to Beta as well. So what that does for the customer is that you're going to be able to come in, have your bike serviced. We're going to have more of the parts that you're going to need in stock. And as far as the parts department, when you're working on your own stuff, when you break a lever, need some hand guards, grips, stuff like that, you're going to be able to come up to the parts counter and not have to wait on parts, which we know has been something that we've been struggling with so far. So hopefully this fixes a lot of that and makes it to where the consumers have a one-stop shop for everything.
For me, the exciting part about this, along the lines of what Jeff said, the opportunities for options.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. Let's start with the dirt stuff, and,
Yeah.
and then we'll move on to the street stuff, because I think that's the big gain in all this is the dirt stuff. We've had the street stuff covered for a long time.
And as far as what you have with KTM and Husqvarna, particularly with the W models and the EXE models, the dual sports and your woods models basically, you have a little bit more of an option. Wherever you have the KTM, you have the PDS suspension, where a lot of guys are going to like that, and the tight rocks, roots, trees, and things like that. And it really depends on your riding style, and I say the faster that you want to go, you may actually like the linkage suspension that the Husqvarna offers. It ultimately boils down to just customer preference, how you're going to ride, and let's face it, what has the better deal at the time.
The Huskies have always been a little more premium than the KTM. The Husky has upgraded wheels. It has the composite subframe. Good, bad, depends on who you ask, I guess. Yeah. For the most part, I think from a rideability point of view, the suspension, like you say, is the big thing.
Yeah, even with the billet triple trees that you get on the Husqvarna, you're still going to get a little bit different suspension characteristics off of that even. All these little changes add up to a lot.
So that brings us to the addition of Beta.
Yeah.
Speaking of suspension and differences, talk about that for a minute.
You have Beta has the sock suspension on it. They're actually on the race editions, you're running the Kayaba front forks, and they always have gone with a linkage style suspension. I really think that puts Beta in just a little bit of a different category. I personally really love riding the Betas, and I always tell people the slower that you are, and I don't mean like the slower as you are as a rider, I mean the slower the trail that you're riding, the more you're going to like the Beta and the way that it handles. Has a very comfortable seating position, standing position even, and it really just adds something else to what we had.
So I just recently got back from a Beta demo day and had the opportunity to ride the bikes. I've ridden their trials bikes in the past, admittedly never ridden their dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Really, really good product, super impressed. Let's talk about some adventure bikes.
Yeah.
KTM offers, a full line of adventure bike, much like BMW, Triumph, and Ducati.
Yeah, you have the 790 Adventure, 790 Adventure R, 1290 Adventure S, 1290 Adventure R, and whenever you see these R models, you have the models that have the 21-inch front wheel and the 18-inch rear. It really is something that's going to offer something that's a little more off-road oriented than what we've had here in the past.
None of these bikes are bad.
Yeah.
They're all really good motorcycles. The application changes with the wheel sizes, with rider position. The KTMs have always been more of a dirt bike seating position, where GSs, GSAs, Multis, and Tigers are a little more relaxed. It's a little bigger reach for the bars, things like that.
Yep.
And that changes how you use the bikes, how you ride the bikes.
And what I like about having all of those different characteristics that you get out of these adventure bikes is that now that we're all in one roof, you have the ability to come sit on the KTM, sit on the Triumph, sit on the Ducati, sit on the BMW, and really get a feel for how that feels without having to jump from shop to shop, and that really does add value to the customer.
One of my favorite segments, the naked sport segment.
Yeah.
We have all the options now, most of the options now. We'll now have the Super Duke. Mm-hmm. We have the Monsters, even got a Monster R over there in Ducati. Now it is pretty, with lots of good parts on it. We have the BMW S1000 single R,
Yep.
based on the 205 horsepower double R motor, kind of retuned more for street use, a little torquier.
Yeah.
Kind of skews towards the torque of the twin in the Super Duke. And then we have inline 3-cylinder offerings in Triumph, both in a 765 and a 1050 base motor, in the street triple and the speed triple.
Yeah.
So full lineup of those bikes.
And you've got a good lineup of the big bore stuff, but what KTM and Husqvarna are able to offer are things in the 390 class, the 690 class, 790, and the 1290. In the 1290, you're talking about the 205 horsepower engine of the S1000 RR. You have a 180 horsepower V-twin engine in that 1290 Super Duke. It has 106 foot-pounds of torque, 329 pounds, and the best, most advanced traction control and ABS system that's on a motorcycle. And I believe that shares some of the same electronic components with some other bikes that we sell as well. Moving down from that, you have the 790, over 100 horsepower, very low on weight. So you have something like that. Again, it comes with the traction control and ABS. You have quick shift, both up and down. They call it quick shift plus. And then you got the 690. The 690, most horsepower ever packed into a single cylinder engine, 72 or 74 horsepower, depending on who you listen to. Again, it still comes with the ABS, like the 390 as well. 390, 42 horsepower engine, offers something for that new rider, or the experienced rider. I have a lot of people who bought that bike who are really experienced riders. They just wanted a second bike. But with the 390 and the 690, you have the only ones in their class that actually have a lead angle sensitive ABS. And that really does add something as far as safety for that customer.
That is a critical element that I think we're missing in the motorcycle community right now, is new riders. That is as good as it gets. For a new rider, like you were talking about with ABS, with Corning ABS, things like that, lean angle sensors, it makes that bike much more approachable for somebody who's maybe lacking experience. Just, I mean, that's the reality of it. We've all been there at one point or another. But then on the other side of the scale, the bikes are so much fun to ride. We just got back from a track day this weekend, and the small CC bikes are fun to just beat on and
what I like about what I like about that and having KTM and Husqvarna that make these smaller bikes in our area at this dealership is that it allows for those guys who are just getting into it to be part of this larger community that seems to be surrounding Pandoras European Motorsports. You have the ability to take your small CC bike and participate with us on track days like that, where you could really go out and test it and be part of the community.
And a track day, you know, speaking of, is a much better place to learn. I think a single track day, 8 hours at somewhere like Talladega Grand Prix or Jennings down in Florida is worth 6 months on the street.
Absolutely.
And we do that stuff from time to time. So yeah, I mean, and everybody's always welcome. I want to thank all of our existing customers. I want to thank, prior to them becoming our customers, your previous customers.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you guys, you and your dad, Gary, for giving us this opportunity and making the transition as easy and seamless as possible. We're happy to have you here. We're excited to have you here. Huge things looking forward for Pandoras European Motorsports and our customers.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here, and I really do look forward to an exciting future.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.